My name is Emily Carter, and I'm 28 years old. Imagine walking into your late father's old study one rainy afternoon, the air still heavy with his scent, only to find a stack of missing documents replaced with a forged signature, and realizing the one person you trusted most, your own sister, had sold the inheritance your father left for you. I remember standing there frozen. My hands were shaking as I flipped through the folder, the papers slipping out of my trembling fingers. It couldn't be true. Not Rachel, not my big sister, the one who promised to protect me after Dad died. But the ink didn't lie. The property deed was gone. The signature was fake. And my heart? It shattered right there in that dusty room. Before I tell you how I uncovered her lies, her betrayal, and how she eventually came crawling back to me for help, make sure to hit that like button if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, and subscribe for more unbelievable family drama stories like mine, because what I'm about to tell you, you won't believe it's real. It all started 6 months after Dad passed away. Our father, William Carter, was a proud man, a small-town carpenter who built everything with his hands, including the house we grew up in. He didn't leave behind millions, but what he left was priceless. Our childhood home, a few acres of land, and a small antique shop downtown that carried his name. Before he died, he made it very clear, the house and shop belong to both of you, but Emily, the land is yours. Build your dream there. Rachel agreed. At least that's what I thought. She was always the older, more responsible one, the lawyer, the achiever. I trusted her with the paperwork because honestly, I couldn't deal with legal stuff while grieving. But as months passed, I noticed something odd. Rachel started avoiding conversations about the inheritance. She kept saying, "Don't worry, Em. I'm taking care of it." Then one day, a letter arrived from the county office. It wasn't addressed to me, but it was about the land, my land. A transfer notice. Someone had sold it for $250,000. And the signature? My name, forged. I rushed to Rachel's apartment that evening. The second she opened the door, I saw guilt all over her face. Her eyes darted away, her voice cracked. "Em, I can explain." "Explain? You sold Dad's land. My land. You forged my name," I screamed. Tears welled in her eyes. "I had no choice. I was drowning in debt. The credit cards, the loans, the law firm." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was the same sister who used to tell me to never compromise your values. Now she had stolen from me, from our father's memory. For days, I couldn't sleep. I replayed every memory, her comforting me at the funeral, promising we'd stick together. All of it. A lie. I called a lawyer. But the reality crushed me. Since Rachel had my personal documents, she'd use them to make the sale look legitimate. Undoing it would be a long, messy battle. Still, I was determined. I wasn't going to let my father's legacy be erased by greed. But then, something unexpected happened. 2 months later, Rachel showed up at my door. Her face was pale, her eyes sunken. She looked broken. "Em, I need your help." I almost laughed. The same sister who betrayed me was now begging. I crossed my arms. "Why should I help you?" She took a shaky breath. "They're threatening me. The people I owe money to. They're dangerous. Please. You're all I have." For a moment, I saw a glimpse of the sister I once knew, the girl who held my hand when I scraped my knee, who tucked me into bed after Mom died. But then I remembered the empty field that should have been my home, the land my father wanted me to build my future on. Still, I hesitated. Because as much as I hated her, she was still my sister. I told her to leave and give me time to think. But that night, I couldn't stop wondering. Was this karma? Was this my chance to make her pay? Or save her before she destroyed herself completely? I didn't know then. Helping her would drag me into a darker web of secrets than I could ever imagine. And what I discovered next would change everything I thought I knew about my family. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my father's face, his warm smile, his rough hands patting my shoulder as he said, "Take care of each other, Emily. Family is all you've got." But how could I take care of someone who stole from me, who forged my name and sold my inheritance? Still, she was my sister, and despite the anger boiling inside me, a part of me couldn't let go of the bond we once had. The next morning, I drove to her apartment. The moment I walked in, I could tell things were worse than she'd admitted. The place was a mess. Unpaid bills scattered on the table, eviction notice on the door, and Rachel sitting on the floor, crying silently. She looked up at me, eyes red and swollen. "I didn't know what else to do, Em. I thought I could fix it before you found out. I thought I could pay it back." I sighed. "You should have come to me before doing something this stupid." She nodded weakly. "I know, but I was desperate. I borrowed money from the wrong people." "Who?" I demanded. She hesitated, then whispered a name I'd never heard before: Mark Delano. A local loan shark, known for collecting debts in brutal ways. My stomach tightened. "Rachel, what have you gotten yourself into?" She wiped her tears. "They said if I don't pay within 2 weeks, they'll come after me. And Em, they know where you live." That's when fear replaced anger. It wasn't just her mess anymore. It was ours. Over the next few days, I tried to focus on solutions. I contacted my lawyer again, hoping to reverse the land sale. But the news wasn't good. The buyer, Mark's associate, had already started building on the property. Undoing it would be almost impossible. Meanwhile, Rachel's situation worsened. She kept getting threatening calls. Once, someone even followed her car. I started wondering, was this really just about money? Or was there something deeper behind the sale? So, I went back to Dad's old lawyer, Mr. Thompson, and asked him to show me all the original documents again. That's when I noticed something strange. In Dad's handwritten notes, there was a line that read, "Keep Emily's trust safe until she's ready to know the truth." Trust? What trust? Dad never mentioned any trust fund. I asked Mr. Thompson about it. He frowned and opened another file. To my shock, there was a sealed envelope with my name on it, dated 3 months before Dad passed. With trembling hands, I opened it. Inside was a letter. "My dear Emily, if you're reading this, I'm no longer with you. I know Rachel carries heavy burdens, and she may make mistakes. But know that the land I left you is not the only thing I've prepared. There is a trust account under your name, hidden to protect you both from greed. The key is with Rachel. She knows more than she admits." I froze. Rachel had known about another inheritance, and she'd kept it secret. Why? I left the office and drove straight to her apartment. She looked startled when I stormed in with the letter in my hand. "Rachel, what is this?" I demanded. Her eyes widened. "You found it?" "Yes, and you knew about it, didn't you? You knew Dad left me something else." She sank into a chair, covering her face. "I didn't mean to hide it. I didn't think you were ready. And when the debts piled up, I thought maybe I could use it to fix everything before telling you." I was furious. "You used Dad's death to justify your lies. You stole the land and kept the trust hidden." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I thought I could handle it, Em. I thought I could protect you. But I failed." For the first time, I saw not just guilt, but deep regret. She wasn't just greedy. She was lost. Still, her excuses didn't erase the damage. I took a deep breath. "Rachel, listen. If there's still a trust, we need to access it now. Not for you, but to fix this mess before it destroys us both." She nodded slowly. "It's in Dad's old safe. But Em, once you open it, you'll see things you might not be ready for." Her words sent chills down my spine. What could possibly be in that safe? What secret was Dad trying to protect? I didn't know then, but opening that safe would uncover not just money, but the truth about our family that would change everything. The next morning, I drove back to our childhood home, the place where Dad had built every corner with his hands. It was quiet, the air still heavy with memories. As I stepped into his old study, the scent of aged wood and old books surrounded me. Rachel followed behind, nervous and restless. She clutched her purse tightly, glancing around like she was walking into a courtroom instead of our father's house. The safe was hidden behind one of Dad's bookshelves, just like in those old detective movies he loved. We slid the shelf aside and revealed a steel vault with a faded keypad. Rachel punched in the code without hesitation. 0421, Dad's birthday. The safe clicked open. Inside, there was a small metal box, a few documents, and a brown envelope with Emily written on it in Dad's neat handwriting. My heart pounded as I picked it up. Rachel looked away, as if she couldn't bear to watch. I tore it open. Inside were 3 things. A bank statement showing a trust fund worth $500,000 in my name. A handwritten note from Dad. A birth certificate. Not mine. I unfolded the note first. Emily, if you're reading this, I hope you're strong enough to face what's inside. The truth about your inheritance is tied to something deeper, something I hid to protect you both. Rachel isn't just your sister. She's not my biological daughter. I adopted her when she was 3. Her parents were close friends who died suddenly, and I promised to raise her as my own. But over the years, Rachel struggled with feeling like she didn't belong. I left the land to you because it was from your mother's side. But I left the trust fund so both of you could share a future together. Take care of each other. Don't let this divide you. My hands went cold. I turned slowly to Rachel. She was crying silently, staring at the floor. You knew, didn't you? I whispered. She nodded. I found out when I was 18. Dad told me the truth. I tried to accept it, but I always felt like I was borrowing a life that wasn't mine. When he gave you the land, it broke me. I felt like I was losing the only family I had left. My heart twisted. All these years, I'd thought she was the strong one, the perfect sister. But beneath it all, she'd been living with a secret she couldn't carry. But still, that doesn't justify what you did, Rachel. You stole from me. You forged my name. She wiped her tears. I know. I was wrong. I didn't want to lose everything. And when the debts came, I panicked. I looked down at the trust fund papers. $500,000. Enough to fix everything. But could I trust her again? Before I could decide, Rachel's phone buzzed. She froze, staring at the screen. It's Mark, she whispered. He says he's coming tonight. I grabbed the phone. The message was short and terrifying. No more delays. You have until midnight. We were running out of time. I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. If we didn't act fast, he'd come for both of us. So I made a decision. Rachel, we're going to the bank right now. We'll withdraw what we need and pay him off. She looked at me in disbelief. You'd do that? After everything I did? I nodded. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for Dad. He wanted us to protect each other. This ends tonight. That evening, we met Mark at a small diner on the outskirts of town. He was tall, with a cold stare that could slice through steel. 2 men stood behind him, arms crossed. Rachel's voice trembled as she handed over the envelope. Here, it's everything I owe you. He opened it, counting slowly, his eyes never leaving ours. Then he smirked. You think this makes us even? You think money fixes everything? My blood ran cold. What do you mean? He leaned closer. Your sister didn't just owe me cash. She promised me information, documents about your father's old property, blueprints, something worth more than money. Rachel's face went white. I didn't get them yet. He slammed his fist on the table. Then you have 48 hours, or I come for both of you. And with that, he walked out, leaving a storm behind him. Rachel broke down, sobbing. I thought paying him would end it. I didn't know he'd want more. I sat in silence, realization dawning. This wasn't just about the land anymore. There was something hidden in Dad's property. Something Mark wanted. Something my sister might have already known. And I was about to uncover the darkest secret of our family's past. After that night, I knew there was no turning back. Whatever secret Mark wanted, it was hidden somewhere in the land my sister sold. The land my father had sworn was meant for me. And if Rachel had promised him documents, then it meant she knew more than she'd admitted. So I looked her dead in the eyes and said, Rachel, it's time you tell me everything. She hesitated, her lips trembling. I didn't want you to find out like this, Em. Dad told me before he died. There's something buried on that land. Something he didn't want the world to know. My heart pounded. What is it? Money? Gold? What? She shook her head. No, not money. Blueprints. He once worked with a private contractor, Mark's uncle. They built hidden storage for rare antiques, military collectibles. But Dad walked away when he realized they were smuggling illegal items. He buried the evidence on the land to protect us. I felt dizzy. All this time I thought it was just a piece of land, but it was the key to uncovering a criminal past. And now, Mark wanted those blueprints to claim what his family left behind. We didn't have a choice. We had 48 hours before Mark came back. So the next morning, Rachel and I drove to the property. The construction site was empty. It was Sunday. No workers. We sneaked in, digging through the spot where Dad's old oak tree once stood. After hours of searching, I hit something solid. A metal box, rusted and sealed shut. Inside, wrapped in plastic, were blueprints, a few old letters, and a small black notebook labeled Confessions. We sat there in silence as I flipped it open. Dad's handwriting filled the pages. He described everything. How Mark's uncle and his partners had used Dad's carpentry business to smuggle weapons during the late 80s, how Dad discovered it and refused to stay silent, how he hid the evidence on the land so no one could use it again. And at the bottom, one final line. If anyone ever comes for this, trust the truth. Go to the police. That was our answer. We had to stop Mark, not with violence, not with fear, but with truth. Rachel wanted to burn it all and run, but I looked her in the eye. No, Rachel, we're not running anymore. We're ending this the right way. So the next day, we met with Detective Harris at the local police station. I showed him the notebook and blueprints. He listened carefully, eyes narrowing as he scanned the pages. You did the right thing coming here, he said. We've had eyes on Mark's operation for years. This could bring them down. He promised to set a trap. We agreed to meet Mark one final time, under police surveillance. That night, at a deserted parking lot, Mark arrived with his men, expecting the documents. I stepped forward, holding the metal box. You wanted what's buried? Here it is. He reached out, smirking. But before he could touch it, flashing red and blue lights surrounded us. Police cars poured in from every side. Officers stormed out, weapons drawn. Mark's face twisted in rage as they handcuffed him. You think this is over, Emily? You think you can take me down? I met his glare calmly. No, my father did, years ago. I just finished what he started. They hauled him away, along with his men. The nightmare was finally over. Rachel collapsed beside me, sobbing, not from fear, but from relief. Weeks passed. The police used Dad's notebook to build a full case. Mark and his associates were charged with multiple crimes, including fraud and conspiracy. The court reviewed the illegal sale of my land and ruled it void due to forged documents. The property was returned to me. Rachel, though complicit, cooperated fully and avoided prison. But she didn't get away untouched. She had to sell her apartment to repay part of her debts. Still, for the first time in years, we were free. One evening, we stood on the land together, the sun setting behind us. The fields were peaceful again. Rachel turned to me, tears glistening. "I don't deserve your forgiveness, Em." I looked at her for a long moment. Then I said softly, "You're right, you don't. But Dad wouldn't want us to hate each other forever." She cried harder, and for the first time in years, I hugged her, not out of obligation, but out of love. Because despite everything, the lies, the betrayal, the heartbreak, we were still family. Months later, I used part of the trust fund to build something new, a community center on the land, in Dad's name. A place for families in trouble, for people who felt lost, like Rachel once did. Every time I see the sign, the William Carter Foundation, I feel him with me. His voice, his lessons, his love. Rachel volunteers there now, helping others get out of debt, guiding them away from the same mistakes she made. We still carry scars, but they remind us of what we survived, and how truth always wins, even when it hurts. Looking back, I realize something important. Sometimes betrayal isn't born from hatred. It's born from fear, from feeling unloved or left behind. And forgiveness isn't weakness, it's freedom. Because in the end, I didn't just get my inheritance back. I got my peace, my purpose, and, slowly but surely, my sister back too. My father's last gift wasn't the land, or the trust, or the money. It was the truth, and the courage to face it. The end.